celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Well, Zach, here we are. We made it.
Oh, hello, Bill.
Can you hear me okay?
I sure can. I think you can hear me too.
Really good. Yep, you sound really good too. We're doing
all
right, I suppose. Oh boy, that was
scraping by,
excitement, wasn't it? So,
sure.
Folks, we're going to start out by explaining to you the changes that are being forced upon us through our server, Podbean, that has decided to change for whatever reason, the way they're going about doing things. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve and figure this stuff out. Today was the first time Zach and I had attempted a group recording. I can do a recording on my own. It's fairly simple, straightforward, but doing a group recording for future, Zach and I share the title of host here. So we try to do everything, as close to together as we can. And then in the future, maybe we have callers again. So we have to be able to know how to do this when it comes to recording and stuff like that.
A little bit of a different ballpark.
And we got real close to the show going. But in all honesty, I don't know where to add the music in, like we do our intro and exit music. And there's some other different nuances to the controls based on a phone app versus full-fledged on the computer. So my next step is going to be figuring that out. I'll work on it and we'll try it again next week. And we're going to keep trying this, Zach, until we get it figured out. We will strangle it to death. Our bitch at some point in time. Just not today. So we're back to a live cast, which is what we normally do. What we're used to. And to be honest with you, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Podbean's going one direction and we're trying to adjust what we do to that. So now let's see, what do we have going on, Zach? We're still working on collaborations. I think we've got 3 of the 6 groups are done. 3 of the groups are not. So I'll keep everybody updated on the group board and everything as these things get finished up. Then we'll get to a show where we do the collaborations being highlighted, which I look forward to very much.
I do too.
It's a whole different thing. Other than that, we're kind of where we are. We've got a real pattern and flow figured out here of how we like to do our shows and how the group runs and how everything is co-mingling and existing on a wonderful level. So we are probably ready for some poetry, don't you think, Zach? Is there any other announcements that we have that I missed?
Well, I guess Parchies and folks back home, those that are all poetry. They could find where we're reading the poems on the topic board. The third from the top where it says the Reading List Podcast episode 21, and all of them are in there.
Oh, yeah. And that also reminds me, from now on, I want to remind everyone that we are posting when your piece was read, what episode your piece was read on. And that makes it a really good way for us to keep track of what we've submitted and what we haven't. And let's see, we've got that is a positive change. And also, through the help of one of our group members, Equine Ann, that knew more than I did, I learned how to send links in all poetry to a specific topic board. And that is a wonderful thing as far as being able to come in and out and help communicate with everybody. And it's such a good thing to be able to do that. So, Zach, I want to show you something I did learn, though, from my time messing with the recording stuff. And I did find it here. You want to know what it is, Zach?
Sure. Oh, God.
Any ideas?
I have a few.
Yeah. Let's see. Is it, how about if you get it right, I'll give you this.
Fun things to play with.
Yeah. Things that I've discovered, and I found it here on the dashboard. So it's here too. And that's so much fun for me. I'm sorry, Zach. Now I have other things to make you laugh about.
Well, that's more for me.
There are some sound effects that I've discovered that I didn't know existed before, and I probably will only use them until I've burnt myself out on them. That's what I do. Is I usually beat things to death and then walk away when I find new and fascinating and fun things. So I suppose we better get on to some poetry before too long, Zach. That is what we're here for, right?
Right. That's our purpose.
Okay. So what do we got first?
All right. First up, we have Noel Nightshade's piece, and that's In Celebration of Earth. The earthly sphere was once venerated dear. We gathered with laurels in our hair and held hands around a sycamore tree. Ancient secrets of blooming flowers brought healing in the form of internal powers, calling on the elements, sun, wind, water, and fire to cleanse. Rid thy pollutants on the land disturbed, toxins absorbed into the soil, synthetics wandering oceanic floors. She once had a splendorous green tint, but now fires and plumes of smoke hover over the earth once pure, wasn't in tune with energetic fields of heaviness, malice, and disease. Life was once celebrated, now our togetherness has an ominous cloud upon our heads. If you close your eyes, you can feel the heavy sigh and exhale Mother Nature makes to breathe. We look away from the burning of oil, adding kindling to the fire that is our world. We watch each year warm, and the skeletons of our past have nowhere to go but to return to dust. when flames creep up, consuming us all. End poem.
Zach, I'm going to apologize. There was something going on there. Did you hear any feedback or dinging as you were
No.
reading? Okay, good. It was just local to me. I was mortified. I thought it was like a ringing, and I think it was because I didn't have my phone on uh, do not disturb. So,
Oh, huh.
so it
Interesting.
didn't record, but thank God, because I was going to apologize and ask you if you wanted to read Noel's piece again. It was a beautiful piece and I was listening, but I got some sounds and it was from my phone and I was hoping it did not disturb you in your read. And it
Oh,
didn't
no.
sound like it did. You did an excellent job. So I'm going to read or would you like to read her author's notes?
Oh, sure. For contest, Earth Day, Mother Nature, humanity. I remember celebrating Earth Day in the mountains, blowing bubbles, playing games, and learning how to care for the planet. Are we still enthusiastic about preserving the Earth's splendor and beauty? This is for Save the Date, Earth Day, April 22nd.
I really love the idea of this. I remember when Earth Day first come about. I was in school. It started out as Arbor Day, where we planted trees, I believe. And then they changed it to Earth Day on down the road, if I'm not mistaken. But it is about looking around and celebrating everything that is given to us by nature. That is all around us. The things that we do not appreciate as much as we did, and or we should. And I think Noel's piece kind of goes into that really nice and in a soft way, and you can tell, the way she's referring to everything around us and all of that. It is a real kumbaya feeling to this, and I don't mean to make it sound cheesy or belittling because it's very important. What she's saying here is we need to love everything around us. We need to appreciate it instead of burning it to the ground and destroying it and trying to change it as man does. And it's so awesome because I've felt of this too. One of my more recent writes touches on this very same subject of the earth and the way I wrote it. It's mine is more dark than this, but hers is so delicate and beautiful and compassionate. Really compassionate is what the feel I got from this. It's a great piece, and you did a great job reading it, Zach. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I thought that this was a wonderful examination of change, um, change of the planet specifically. And this is a celebration of the Earth. This is it describes like the gradual change of what the planet is going through currently, but it also describes before that the sort of the Earth that was before that change, that the world that was once more pure, and I guess humans more or less coexisted with the elements in a more communal way than just like I feel like later in the poem especially, man imposes this will upon the world in a way that's it's not the same. It's not very celebratory, because because of the way of the pollutants the pollutants kind of creep in, and the toxins and the synthetics. So that's all like man's imposition on Mother Nature, and it's really changed over the years. Man's relationship with nature. It's just become more of a sort of like an abusive relationship. Honestly, just malice, and it's ominous too. About midway through the poem, it gets sort of the feeling that we might be coming to the point of no return almost. It speaks as a warning, but it's also a reminder of where we once have been as humans. And I think we go back to that point, but it's kind of like sternly, the poem at least is warning us as humans, this potential it's this potential to end up this way if we don't, look at certain things and change certain aspects about the way fossil fuels are consumed, or some kind of change. Something big has to happen, or else something bad will be affecting many of us, I think.
It certainly is coming, and I like the way she wrote this because it didn't seem spiteful, mean, hateful, or judgmental. It had a very nice, compassionate feel to it, and that makes it more um, not authoritative. It makes it more concerning. People, I think, would listen. So it's
Right.
very well done, and it really hit home for me because, like I said, just last week I wrote a piece along the same line, just in my own way. It's kind of neat. Oh, let's see. What do we got next, Zach?
All right. Next up, we have Mike Horsfall's piece.
Welcome back, Mike. So the piece is titled Exhale by Mike Horsfall. In the gloom-shrouded husk of a house where dust motes dance like forgotten specters, in shafts of gray light piercing cracked panes, I lie, old bones unraveling, these joints creaking like door frames warped by endless night. Skin a parchment map of rivers long dried. Each breath a rasp against the weight of ribs, caving like the roof's sagging, rotted beams. Debris clutters the floor. Shattered porcelain grins from corners. Broken, splintered chairs like defeated beasts. Yellowed letters curl like dying leaves. Mold-covered sofas groan, sag on rusted springs. Cobwebs veil the mantel where clocks froze decades ago. Their hands accusing the silence. The air hangs thick, sour with mildew's fungal reek, and the metallic tang of blood trickling unseen from cracked lips. Demons of the past circle closer, shadowy husks of lovers scorned, faces twisted in betrayal's perpetual sneer, whispers slithering from walls, liar, thief, abandoner, twisted forms of enemies. Their first pounding echoes of revenge scream from behind the doors. Murderer, killer, coward, their eyes glowing embers in the murk, clawing at memories I can't outrun, trapping me in this failing cage of flesh. No hand reaches, no voice calls. This void has long emptied of life, love. Neglect has boarded the windows, barred the door with years of solitude. Before me, the choice yawns. Stairs ascending into velvet space to stars, creaking under invisible feet, or the pit, a jagged maw in the floorboards, fringed with splintered teeth, promising swift swallow into nothing. My gnarled fingers twitch towards the edge, heart stuttering like a moth in a jar. No faces to soften the air, no hand to steady my failing gait. Just the dark as demons lean in, breath hot with regret. Climb or fall. The house exhales, waiting. End poem. Zach, you there?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch to gather up there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot to sink my teeth into this one. Yeah. I guess wow, yeah. I like how I'll start off by saying how the body is being personified as like this dry piece of parchment. And like this like speaker is kind of existing in this kind of like this perpetual attic like atmosphere. It's almost as if like this place has like a lot of character to it. It has the appearance of like the oldest, mustiest, like driest attic that like could ever exist, really. And there's a lot of history that's taken place here. I think like this place belongs or has belonged to the speaker maybe for some time. Maybe it's been in the family, but I could tell there's some history. There's been some dark stuff that's happened. There's like bloodstains and something about like murders occurring, and that kind of history can't be erased from the place. There's like trauma, and but being essentially that's happened there, and that the speaker has seen, and the house itself as a character is a witness to all this. Splintered and dried and cracked, and just kind of dwarfing the presence of the speaker with all of its decay, I guess. And there's just kind of this feeling of approaching dread of darkness closing in, that maybe the speaker's end is not so far off. Especially the lines, before me the choice yawns, stairs ascending until the velvet space to stars. So that just that kind of that did remind me of Mike's prior piece. I believe he wrote of a similar approaching old age, or an aging piece. Maybe it was an aging piece. I'm pretty sure that he wrote something similar along the lines to this, but this one, it strikes me as a darker piece. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I do remember what you're referring to there. Mike's first piece back was a dark piece, and it was along the same hilt, but I don't think it was quite this dark.
No.
This is as dark as I've ever read from Mike. And it reads just as beautifully as any other piece that he's ever written. It's just dark. And the personification is particularly powerful. Our own mortality, aging, stuff like that, we all face it in our own time in different ways. We really do. It's just kind of the facts of life, And I can feel so much of the emotion to this. Like, you start dealing with health issues and things like that as you age that you didn't have when you were young. The creaking floors, the stuff like that, those are all metaphors for, bones and joints that aren't quite as healthy as they used to be, and young and flexible and all that stuff. And there's pain and noise and stuff like that involved. But it was a great piece of personification, projecting out there in a way what Mike is feeling, and putting it out there in a very, very nice poetic way. And I really enjoyed reading it because I'm familiar with some of these things too. I'm no spring chicken myself, but we'll see how it goes in the future. But I really enjoyed the piece for sure. You ready to move to the next one, Zach?
Sure. Next up, we have Scarlet Knight's piece, and that's The Grave I Weep Before. And I should probably read the author's note. This one says, sometimes art comes from pain. So, the grave I weep before, littered in flowers, showered in compliments, never heard in life, love forgotten in the moment, laid to rest with the moments that can never be. On my knees I sit, watching the parade of teary faces pass. A mother cries in anguish, an echo of the tears of her child. The ones she never cared to hear. A father hides his face, pretending it can't be real. Friends share the exhausted defeat of a battle long fought, lost so tragically. The grave I weep before, where a granite stone, freshly carved, reads a name so familiar. I'm so sorry. The grave I weep before, surrounded by friends and family, who I may never see again. The grave I weep before, my own. End poem.
This is another dark piece. So looks like we're dabbling in darkness today, Zach. We'll see if we can
headlong into it, I guess.
I'm sure they will change on us. You know how they do it. They zig and zag all the time. So this is a piece I read some time ago, so I want to read my initial thought on it. Okay. Although it does not directly state suicide, I believe the implication is there in this piece. That is a subject I do not like to contemplate because I can't wrap my brain around it, but also I have been affected by its permanence as a survivor of someone I love succumbing to his depression. This piece does not, however, move the reader as it looks from the grave and shares some remorse. The apologetic tone is lovely and deep, interesting, right? And what I mean by that, and I wanted to clarify, when I read my own statement, I wanted to clarify, it doesn't move the reader necessarily to sadness. This is an introspective piece of the poet thinking about being gone and how people would react to that. So there's more emotion and kindness and softness to it than what my initial comment would have put forward. But now this is something, and I believe Scarlett posted something last week that we read that was a little bit dark and ominous and scary. And what she's doing is she has written out these feelings that she had, these darknesses when she was dealing with these things, and has helped her through them and helped her see them, which is what our writing does for us. So I think this piece needs to be looked at more in a type of journey, in a triumphant way, in the fact that things get better as we figure out what's going on within us. And that's what this piece is. It's figuring out what was going on within her at that time. And it's a good benchmark, I think, to look back and try to prevent yourself from going that far down the tube, of depression in the first place. And, Scarlett's a wonderful writer, and she writes an interesting brand of darkness that is very introspective and very deep and personal to her. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I thought that this piece was a hypothetical situation. Like, the piece was made to essentially maybe if the speaker were to go through with this, to travel down that path of finality, that act, that this is what would transpire, that this is sort of maybe the loved ones close to the speaker would react. And I think that because of that, this is like a bit of a deterrent to not sort of go through with that this is sort of reasons to stay alive, essentially, to not cause that sadness or that sort of that unreality that it could really affect people. That this is kind of like an anti suicide piece, I think, despite I guess the speaker is almost thinking about what would happen if they went through with it, but not going through it. So it's just a what if scenario, just a way to kind of not go through with it, but kind of vicariously purge those feelings in a way to kind of find some catharsis, to kind of hold on to the self, to not really push forward with those intentions, because it's so destructive in that way. And I think the speaker realizes that what really matters by the end of it, the supports and and the weight that carries. I think the speaker is aware of that. So it's just a powerful piece. I think it's ultimately a good way to not go through with that.
Zach, that's probably the most important thing that either of the two of us said in this whole conversation about this piece, because it is very powerful. But what you said is it's a way to purge those thoughts, to get rid of those thoughts and understand the consequences of those thoughts and bring yourself up out of those. So this is a self-help piece more than it
Right.
is a self-harm piece. And I think, you and I both kind of struggled in verbalizing the way this made us feel, but
So
I think together we got there.
yeah, it's got that the topic has that weight to it.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's why it's kind of a taboo subject in
Yep.
a lot of places. That's exactly why. But I think this piece handles that subject very delicately and very introspectively. And you agree with me. We both agree that it is a productive, positive piece, not a negative piece. Without
Right.
this piece being written, who knows what thoughts happen?
Oh yeah, the suppressing, that's not good. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, Zach. So what do we got next?
Okay. Next up we have Alice McCobb's piece.
And it's titled Follow the Light. So looks like we're changing directions here from the dark to the light. It's got a beautiful picture of a big whale too. That's out in space. It's very cosmic and cool. So I hope you guys can see that when you go look at it. And again, it's titled Follow the Light. In an ocean of stars, I beheld a silent obsidian mass emerging from the shadow realm of untold secrets. Swirls of supernova bloomed across the cosmos in its wake. Clouded coral, rain-washed indigo, scarlet drift, cornflower cream. In an ocean of stars, I beheld a silent obsidian mass, a sentinel of the deep, and a prayer to mortals. Follow the light, always. In poem. Your thoughts, Zach?
I like this piece.
It's a good
very-
follow for darkness.
Yeah. Darkness and light. There's a bit of a cosmic aura to it. Vastness to it, certainly. Space, you know. Really, it's a lot of knowns and unknowns with space, and this one, I believe, focuses mostly on the unknown. And I like the psychedelic sort of imagery, the colors, of the whatever this mass, this obsidian mass is creating, these colors in its wake as it kind of travels across space. I mean, this massive darkness. I'm pretty sure that that's the whale, that the undefined shape that is traveling through space. I kind of like how just the speaker is. I feel dwarfed by the presence of this obsidian mass, really. And to me, it's almost Lovecraftian in that sense. It's that sense of scale is so huge that, I mean, it's kind of hard to like wrap my head around something so cosmically huge. But I mean, that's sort of where Lovecraft is coming from, I think, and a little bit, and that's where this is connected, I think, but in a more positive sense than Lovecraft, because Lovecraft is associated with madness. This really isn't. This is following the light. So this is like following the those secrets, where the direction of where that goes to, and it's very deep. It's deep, and it goes to a very sort of central place within the speaker, I think, as the obsidian mass travels, and it's just I like how it just it speaks to mortals as a sort of an undefined shape, and I kind of like that about how undefined it is, and yet it's just it's sort of a source of guidance. But it's I think my favorite part about it is how compressed it is, and yet it's so, I mean, the piece itself is a brevity, but it's about a subject so vast that it makes the brevity itself very ambitious.
Yeah, it does. And I like the way the first and third stanzas, and again, it's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It's about 8 lines is what it is, but they're overflow lines. So it's a line and a half basically per 3 lines per stanza is what it is. But it covers a whole lot of ground, and it doesn't feel like it was sold short. It feels like it covers all the ground. The first line in the first stanza and the third stanza are exactly the same, but the end line in the first stanza and the second or third stanza change, and it changes the feel after the first line. But that center stanza is the one that gives it its real beauty, all the descriptors of the color. But I like the way it states in first, in an ocean of stars, I beheld a silent obsidian mass, emerging from the shadow realm of untold secrets. So that's the darkness. And then swirls of supernova bloomed across the cosmos in its wake. They weren't seeing the light that was being left behind outside the darkness, is what it sounds like, is the way it reads. And then eventually there's an emergence from this darkness to light in the third stanza. So there's a clear shift. There's a beginning, a middle, and then an end. The crescendo is the end, and it's emerging. And it's a plea, a sentinel of the deep, and a prayer to mortals. Follow the light always. So it's a generalization. Anybody can get stuck in the darkness, but follow the light, and you will find your way. So I liked it. It was a very, very encouraging light piece after the 2 dark pieces we read to start. Well, Noel's was light too, so we went light, dark, dark, light. What are we going to do this time now? Next, are we going to do funny, silly? I don't know. Let's see.
All right. That looks like we have Purple Gerber's piece. This one looks enjoyable. Sushi Date. All right. That small Pan-Asian restaurant down the lane. Do you remember that Wednesday we kept for ourselves? Kimchi stained on my plaid shirt. You laughed. Your eyes dropping to your wrist. Claimed by a blue crystal bracelet I gifted you. The stones, catching light like something meant to last. You got something on your cheek, you said, smiling as you tucked a lock behind my ear. The overhung lamp over us set a romantic mood. The wind chimes by the door rang as if to bless us. As I cupped your face in my hands, even today, your sushi breath lingers, asking me to stay. End poem.
What do we got on there's some author's notes.
Oh.
Well, 12-line element poem challenge.
12-line element poem challenge. 12 lines.
Okay.
Line 1, a place. Pan-Asian restaurant. Line 2, time marker, just Wednesday. The third is a piece of clothing, plaid shirt. Line 4, a body part. You got your eyes and the wrist. And 5 is a small object, blue bracelet. 6, natural element stones. 7, a line of dialogue. You got something on your cheek. 8, a direction or movement tickling behind. And 9, a kind of light overhung lamp. And 10, a boundary by the door. 11, a gesture cupped my hands. And 12, a change, intense nostalgia. So this seems like it's a kind of a form challenge, and each line has a specific direction.
Yep. So the story is written by the elements, and then you have to fill it in, and it takes some skill to do that and make it read as sincere as this one just read, because it did. It read like a real moment that Purple Gerbera had captured. And, we draw from real elements and then fictional elements, add in and blend, and that's the poetic combination. So it's funny because as you were reading this and I was reading along, Zach, Sushi Date, it really sounded like an event that Purple had partaken in. It was very convincing and very sincere, and the emotions were real, and palpable and it was well written in that respect. So if in fact this is a fiction that she was just writing and filling in with these elements, she did an excellent job convincing me it was real. And that's a wonderful skill. It really is. So I liked the way it was described in the specifics. There was this relationship, whatever the relationship actually is, a romantic relationship. It's surely mentioned, but the way it ended, it kind of pulls the rug out from underneath you because you don't know whether they actually had a relationship or if this was the end of the relationship. Even today, your sushi breath lingers, asking me to stay. Does that mean to stay in that date a little longer? Or does that mean to stay for an extended period of time in the life of the person on the date? So it was very well received, and it was fun in reading and hearing, but then it had this heaviness that gave it this real feeling at the end. So even if this is a fiction, it didn't read that way. It read very convincingly that it did happen. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I thought this was a very complete narrative memory or an arc. Had characters, two central characters, a setting. The setting felt real. It felt lived in, detailed, concrete. You had the overhead lamp, the wind chimes, the kimchi stain, the sushi breath, the blue crystal bracelet. I like how specific all that is, and I like the emotions too. There's laughter and smiles, and I like how Bill also mentioned the nature of the relationship between the two is unclear. So I don't know if it's you don't really know the status about these two afterwards. You don't know if it's a lingering sort of romance or if it's just a one-time thing. Or, I mean, either way, it seems like these two are friendly. So I like that much. I like that it's not like an end, but it just seems like an ongoing thing, and I really like that.
Yeah, I did too, Zach. Well said. So what do we got now?
All right. Next up, we have Wednesday in October's piece.
This one is titled Empty Hands by Wednesday in October. Everything grows paper thin. Lips, skin, cotton sheets. My gray eyes, tightly shut, reveal nothing trapped inside. Memory, a prisoner of the clock. The darkness behind my eyelids refuses to conjure images it knows nothing about. Time used to stand still, hours passing without notice. Now I'm rolling downhill. The image of you has ticked away, leaving nothing but stale air and empty hands. End poem. What do we got there, Zach?
Wow. This one was sad to me. Everything grows paper thin. Lips, skin, cotton sheets. That seems kind of like one of the tragedies of aging to me. And it's this as time goes on, I feel like the speaker is trapped by time in a sense, and literally almost, because they say prisoner of the clock, and it's like there's a lot of because of the age of the speaker, I think there's a lot of images behind those eyelids, a lot of potential darkness, a lot of rearranging behind the eyelids, like the brain, a lot of images like sort of coalescing together. And now that there's a lack of a you there. The you is like an other that seems to like have anchored the speaker somewhat. And without the you that made the time stand still originally, the speaker feels like somewhat out of control, rolling downhill. So it's almost as if the loss of this you has really left
the speaker with, as they say, empty hands.
I was trying to figure out myself, because this kind of applies equally to an ending relationship or the passing of someone that you cared about deeply, and how you can no longer hold them or touch them. Your hands are empty, is what it sounds like. And at the same time, acknowledging your own aging, you know, the everything grows paper thin, lips, skin, cotton sheets. That to me implies obviously physical aging, but then you throw in the cotton sheets. What do they have to do with it? You know, one would think that implies a relationship, a romantic relationship potentially, or whatever. But my gray eyes tightly shut reveal nothing trapped inside. I don't see the gray eyes. She's saying that it's an unfeeling, and these are thoughts, I think, that are coming while they're asleep. So, or right before the sleep, I would think. But then a recognition of time just keeps passing, and these memories are getting harder and harder to recall, and not as vivid when you do recall them. So I love that it works on those two different levels, probably equally as well, you know, for an ended relationship or somebody that is no longer with us that we miss dearly and are just trying to hang on to those memories. So I like that part of it, the way it made me feel in that respect, because the older we get, the more those old memories fade and the harder it is to stay in touch with them. This is a lovely piece, and it's not exactly sad. It's not dark, but it is sad. It's melancholy. You know, it grips you and holds you in a way that feels like a hug you needed, I guess, is the best way to describe that. Oh, boy. Zach, they do it to us every week, don't they?
They got that range. Yeah.
All over the place.
I can almost like assume to expect that from the Parchies. It's not safe to assume, but I think it is for this case.
It seems to be.
Yeah.
We just go all over the place, and they bounce us around like a rubber ball. They like to hear us laugh and like to hear us think. And yes, it's the changes. That's what they're doing to us. I think they've made great sport of it, honestly, Zach.
They enjoy it.
You're ready. They probably talk amongst themselves. Oh, did you hear the way Zach and Bill laughed uncontrollably or nearly cried? So, what do we got now, Zach?
All right. Next up, we have Jeg 325's piece, and that's A Closed Door. And this is when love suddenly ends with a slammed door. A lonely heart remains inside the room. The front door slammed like a single gunshot, striking deep into the core of my heart, leaving silence to paint all over the cracks of a love that had fallen apart. The ticking clock signaled day's departure as it echoed into an empty room where a pale statue stood encircled by night, abandoned to fate's gathering gloom. End poem.
Well read, Zach. I always comment on this, but Jeg has really got this form. He has got it figured out, and he really knows how to write it. And I'm always so impressed by how much he packs into such a small space. 59 words. And obviously this is about, you know, a failed relationship and how it still hurts to this day. And there's no real way to make that hurt stop. And it's sad, and it's deep, and it's all encompassing, and it just holds on to you. A pale statue stood encircled by night, abandoned to fate's gathering gloom. So I think a pale statue stood encircled by night is a reference to self, being surrounded by darkness and being abandoned to fate's gathering gloom. knowing it's just going to get more and more gloomy. But this is a very, very specific description of the length and duration of the pain that's being felt just from the closed door. So my assumption is that somebody walked out the door, closed it behind them, and there you are, left with the sadness just engulfing and encompassing you, surrounding you all around. What are your thoughts, Zach? Good read.
Yeah. There's an immediacy to this piece. It's like suddenly ended. It's very abrupt. You don't know exactly why. Why the relationship is like this, why or how it got to this, but either way, it ends with a bang, and the loud, soft dynamic it paints is there's like a change from the loudness of the slamming of the door to the silence of the aftermath, and I like that contrast. It's sad, but it feels real. That lack of presence in the silence. I think I understand that a little bit, and because that's where the silence, that's where the thoughts kind of grow, and yeah, it just lingers. It lingers as the top of the clock ticks, and the darkness creeps in. I'm just essentially left with the image of the speaker just standing there in the dark, or in the gathering dark, while the other essentially just walked out and slammed the door, and the speaker is just there for that long, just struck by it. Yeah, it's pretty devastating.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's just a profound depth and sadness to it, where you can feel almost like you exhale and can't breathe in. All right, what do we got next, Zach?
That's all you, man. What's up next?
Yeah, I just got to it. So this is a piece I wrote in March of 23. So I'd been on All Poetry for about a year. I think, yeah, about a year whenever I wrote this. And it's titled Clumsy. I've always been graceful and athletic. Sports came easily. I'm naturally gifted. As a kid, I was picked early. Everyone knew. He's quick. He's fast. Anchoring our team. But as my youth faded, so did my grace. Randomly falling, my body, heart changed. Almost 50 now, those days are memories. Today I don't run. I'm less graceful, clumsy. I fall all the time, but the falling lifts me up. Sights, smells, sounds, thoughts and feelings. I fall for everything, it seems. Music, words. Down I go, plummeting to my softest side. I've fallen so many times, it's expected every day. I fall at work. I fall at play. I've fallen for the same things over and over again. My family, poetry, music, and friends. The smell of a flower, a bird's beautiful song, country sceneries as I drive, the rumble of my bike, then absolute silence. Bells of a wedding song, tears of a funeral procession. I fall for them all, almost without discretion. As I kissed the arrogance of youth goodbye, there was an emptiness I couldn't define. 2 decades later, life's becoming so clear. As a child, I knew nothing. Falling was a fear. Now I fear not falling. Let me skim my knees. I'm in love with falling. I fall very graciously, over and over, every day, falling continuously. End poem. I have to dig deep, Zach, to find something you haven't read or heard of mine yet.
This one I have not read. I can honestly say this one is a new one. I really enjoyed it. I like this one is also an examination of change. There's a lot of that tonight, but I like how not only is there there's a change from young to old, the young you to the old you. But I like how like the speaker is so used to not falling at first, being steady, and then like age kind of changes that, and I can kind of relate to that. I'm sort of not as young as I used to be, and I can't even run. So I get that. I get this kind of this feeling of like slowing down a bit. But also there's the flip side to that is the process of falling, which is my favorite aspect of this piece. How the concept of falling sort of gradually changes throughout the piece. So what it means, falling for physically falling, physically skinning your knees, clumsy, being tripped. But like as the age sort of progresses, as the speaker ages, that sort of context of falling changes to sort of complement the speaker's personality, plummeting to my softest side. So the speaker is like falling at work, play, falling for things like falling in love, falling for poetry and friends, for like very specific things. And there's like an enjoyment to that for this falling, and it is sort of like this falling for not only the good, but also for what also comes out, the bad. There's like a universal truth to that, and I think there's like a sense of like turning that fear of falling into like a strength. That clumsiness at the beginning, not so much as a fear, but like it's just something that he feels different about, that he falls. Now that he falls, there's no negativity. It's just there. It's just like a strength, and there's a reason. And I really enjoyed this. There's this. It's a well-rounded piece, and it demonstrates a complete shift in the speaker's mind, and completes the poem.
I wanted to show, and you're right, Zach. Thank you for that wonderful understanding of what this is about. It's about simply aging, and I'll read my author's notes real quick. Just some musing from my mind, as much about getting older and appreciating the simple things more. Life sure has a different feel at 49 than it did at 29. Absolutely true. Absolutely 100% true. And you don't realize, because you're living that life daily, you don't realize that you're evolving. So change is an abrupt thing, but evolution takes time. So through the course of 25 or 30 years, I grew in a way that I didn't see coming. And you're right, I started this out as the physical act of falling. And then it became more emotional falling as the poem evolved, as I changed and grew over time. And it's an introspection that I was trying to put down and share with people that have experienced the same things. What's funny is the more people I talk to that are close to my age, the more they have the same kind of mindset. And you don't, when you're 17, 18, 19, in your 20s or whatever, you don't really even look at the flowers. I didn't. You don't see the hummingbirds. You don't notice all these things. But then life kind of slows down, and it's intentional because it picks up speed when you get married, start having kids, start your career, do that thing. You've got all these inputs that you have to, take care of and handle, and you start missing things. But then it starts slowing down at a certain point again, slowing down, and you start taking in these things and appreciating things that you never even noticed before. And that's the wonderful part of aging. So there's a negative side. I don't do as well when I fall down. I don't spring back up like I used to, but it doesn't scare me either. falling for things every day does not scare me. I look forward to it. And
Hmm.
feeling, even feeling the emotions that are sadness and stuff like that of a funeral are not so bad to me anymore. It doesn't mean I don't get sad. It just means I don't fear them like I used to. And that's kind of a good thing about growth. And I really appreciated your comments on that piece, Zach, because you got exactly what it was meant to be. So what do we have next?
All right. Next up, we have our polar of the month, Pac-Man. And that's not this time. And this is for a contest. The tones drop before dawn, sharp enough to cut through sleep. He's on his feet before thought returns, pulling on his bunkers. Boots hitting the floor. The station already alive with motion. Someone calls working fire, and the word settles into him like a weight he knows how to carry. Down the pole, out onto the apparatus floor, into the engine. His partner checks the irons. He checks the bottle. No one speaks. There's only the tightening of straps, the breath behind the mask, the quiet bracing for heat. At the house, smoke pushes from the eaves. A low, rolling warning. They go in crouched, masked, moving through the dark that swallows everything. But the thin beam of a flashlight. His partner finds two adults, unresponsive, dragging them toward the door with a strange shout. He pushes deeper. Debris has fallen everywhere. It's like the house is trying to prevent him from finding something. A door with a bunny on it must be a child's room. The door is jammed, but it's not hot. Smoke coming from underneath. He steps back and hits it with his shoulder. It gives. The room is foul, like it has a life of its own. He's not wanted here. Ceiling tiles all over the floor, breaking with every step. He feels a small bed, but it's empty, damn it. It's like this room doesn't want to be searched. Toys scattered like fallen stars. He almost misses her curled beside a dresser. Can't be more than 4 years old, still as a held breath. He lifts her, carries her out, lays her in the grass. Starts O2, calling for the EMTs. Her parents are already gone, headed for the burn center. He washes her chest, willing it to rise. Her eyes flutter, a gasp, a cry. She points past him towards the burning house, voice breaking open into a scream. Words no firefighter ever wants to hear. Sissy, sissy. He doesn't hesitate. Back into the heat, the house nearly engulfed. Floor trembling under his boots. In the child's room again. No girl, only a stuffed doll, with Sissy stitched across its dress. He throws it out the window, turns to escape, and the second floor collapses. Hands dig, boards lift. His partner pulls him free, breath shaking, burnt hand after losing a glove. Smoke claws at his lungs. They strap him to a gurney. Just before they load him into the ambulance, the little girl breaks from the EMTs, her doll in hand, and throws her arms around him. He closes his eyes. Was it worth it? Hell yes. I'm Palm.
I really love the way that ended. So
Yeah.
actually about a third of the way through your read there, Zach, I put myself on mute so I could really mask, not have my intensity come through as I was listening to your read and going through that. Because honestly, it was like I was there. It was really so well written that it sounded like it read real easy too, Zach.
It did.
Your flow was right there. You know, the notes were hit perfectly, and the syllables and all that, and there wasn't a forced part, any hesitation anywhere in the read, and I read right along with you at the same pace. So it was a very, very easy read, and I love the fact as this was happening when I realized that Sissy was a doll, not an actual living human being. I thought, Oh boy, because I didn't know how this would turn out. Does the firefighter end up giving his life for a senseless doll? Or is he a hero that goes in there? But in the end, the firefighter says in that closing, which is absolutely perfect, he closes his eyes. Was it worth it? Hell yes. Because that child was so traumatized, the only thing that child had as a concern was that doll. So he would gladly take that burn on his hand and the scorch in his lungs and brave that kind of circumstance to make that little girl, who was just a victim of losing everything in her life, potentially even her parents, because you don't know if they're going to survive or not, potentially even her parents, that she could lose. She could lose everything. And the only thing that he could do to make it better is fetch her doll for her. So that was really cool. Hey, we got a caller. We got a listener. Welcome back, Scarlett. Good to see you.
Hey, Scarlett.
Zach, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one, I really enjoyed the narrative breakdown of the piece. The narrative arc was, I was really struck by the suspense. It was like a tightrope. I was kind of dying to hear the continuation of the piece, and the suspense was kind of it just flowed really well. I don't know, it read well. You have the sort of the opening of the coming alive of the firehouse with the noises, and it's like a cool setting. I kind of like firehouses. That kind of setting is kind of it's kind of neat when you think about it. When you think about all the equipment and the fire engines and what they're doing, and this piece kind of puts you in the mind of live vicariously a little bit, and you're like in the mind of that sort of emergency dispatch, and especially when they get to the house and it becomes like very evident that there's real like life and death stakes, and it becomes more and more suspenseful, especially when he gets to the room and it's like he's not supposed to be there, and it's very well described, like with the toys falling like stars, and and just when you think about just when it's about to like be hunky dory, you feel like, or the little girl says that, the sissy. You don't really know what the meaning of that is at first, but it becomes apparent. It's a stuffed animal, and I still like it says a lot about the fireman to it says a lot about his character that he found that it was worth risking his life for the doll, just to kind of for the peace of mind for that little girl, for object. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, a great character driven piece.
For sure, Zach. Where are we going to now?
All right. Next up, we have Deborah Leo Five's piece.
And that has a very... Are you looking at the picture, Zach?
Oh, yes.
Isn't that delightful?
It is.
That dog with kibble dropping in front of its snout, staring intensely at said kibble. Mm-hmm. This piece is titled The Big Breakfast Betrayal. And let's see. I am poised, statue in the kitchen. Tail a constant whip of faith and hunger. Eyes fixed on your sacred hands. The sizzle of bacon teases the air. Eggs crackling like tiny promises. All destined for my silver bowl. Toast leaps from the flour-dotted machine. The blissful scent of sausage curls towards heaven. Coffee steaming with mortal devotion. Amber juice laughing in its glass. Cereal, milk, oatmeal, a muffin split open like a soft dream. They line the stage, but they are mere background singers to my feast. And now the moment comes. I sit, tongue frozen, heart beating. But no plate slides my way, only the sound of dry pellets clattering in my metallic bowl. Oh, this betrayal tastes worse than my breakfast. Poem. That's funny. What are your thoughts on that, Zach?
This was a different kind of suspense. Suspense from man's best friend, waiting for food, waiting for this like outcome to occur. And boy, this dog is like not just focused on one aspect of the plate, but rather the entire plate. Even the drink, it's like, take no prisoners. This dog is intent on just devouring that meal. Just if that plate just went a little bit closer, I could see like the potential of that dog to just bring it to Ashton. But I mean, it's funny. It's really funny. It's not anticlimactic when the dog gets its food. It's actually kind of, it's funny. I think that the climax is warranted. It's like the betrayal of the dog. It's it just makes for kind of like more humor. And the dog's expectations, of course, are completely thwarted and foiled too. Yeah, I like how that ended. It's just very. I thought it was something that a dog would like actually think about too. I just see it's all in the eyes, really. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny how particularly canines, dogs are like that, because I was thinking of my dog Kaja. In the mornings. She has this routine. She gets her wet food. She goes outside to potty. She pees in the grass and then goes out to her pen, and that's where she stays for a few minutes, 45 minutes or so, and she uses the bathroom. But when she comes back in, she expects a treat. Okay? After she's just had breakfast with her wet food and stuff like that, she expects a treat. We keep kibble in her bowl, but if we're eating anything, Heather and I are sitting in the seat of love having a snack, she'll stare at us intensely, just exactly the way this dog's looking that Deb has written about. She'll see, and they're all kind of the same. They are. Dogs have a connection with humans. They can read our emotions through our gestures and our tones and all that stuff, so they know exactly how to play us. It's an evolutionary gift that works good for humans and dogs, but I digress. What I'll talk about is how sweet and accurate and true this particular piece is, because I could see that dog with eager anticipation, smelling all the smells, hearing all the activity as breakfast is being made, a human breakfast. And that had this twist to it, because I looked at the picture, and then while I was reading it, I thought, well, this is not a dog's breakfast. You're not going to give a dog coffee. You're not going to give a dog certain things. You're not going to give them. The vast majority of it, you're not going to give them juice or anything like that. Oatmeal, they may possibly eat. A muffin, possibly. But they could do bad things to a dog. But the dog doesn't care, because it's just excited, because it's smelling all these things that are glorious. And it wants a piece of it. And then the humans are having their breakfast that's being prepared, and the dog gets dry kibble in a bowl that goes, sounds like a bell or something. That the dog's like, I get this, I smell all that, and then I get this. This is horrible. It's so unfair. So that's the cuteness of it and the realness. And it was very well written on that. It's funny because Scarlett just put on the board, hope you won't give a dog coffee, poisonous to them. Coffee, chocolate, I think maybe some fruits. I know my wife, I tried to give Kaja a grape one time, and she cussed me up one side and down the other. She said, you don't feed a dog grapes. I said, okay, they're omnivores though, but that doesn't mean that they eat everything. It just means they eat a wide variety. That's great. Scarlett just said on the board, Oh no, not the grapes. So she's heard that too, apparently. All right, Zach. That's a great piece, Deb. Wonderfully done. It was sweet and cute and funny and fun to read. I think we needed that, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. We have a kind of back and forth
What are
all tonight.
I just opened what we're doing next, so it looks like we're back on the emotional side here.
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, my piece.
It's your turn, Zach.
Yeah, this one, I probably have to say this one's probably my favorite piece that I wrote for my mom in her memory, because it's about my earliest memory, and she's an integral part of that. So this speaks to me.
Actually, Zach, let me interrupt you for just a second. Just on the picture, I remember this piece because I've commented on this piece live, not this piece particularly, but I have mentioned this piece that you have written more than once. So go ahead, please.
Oh, sure.
Hopefully
Yeah.
people recognize it.
Yeah, this piece. All right. Okay. I gotta get in the right mind. Okay. My toddler hand fits small in her gentle grasp. We lay side by side in her king-sized, warm. Eyes scan the giant picture page. Both sets. At the three little pigs and the big burly wolf. Reciting the words thousands of nights. Igniting the insides with verbal explosions. Sparks flew. Images sharpened until a film played inside my head, with mother projecting movie reels, arm around me, by my side. She traced each word like a subtitle. Book curiosity grew. She hooked me early. Drawn to words, I typed pages. Dad's computer belched them back. The wolf feeding over and over. Reading books still beside Mom. Acres of paper burrow. Years pass in the quiet. Death stops her mid-sentence. Her voice in my brain talks on. Stay with me, Mom. Stay long. Do not stay silent. Sing your song. End poem.
Good read, Zach. Would you like me to read your author's notes, or do you want to read them?
I'll read these. Sure. This is my favorite memory of my mother. Around age 2, I learned to read and write. This experience is detailed above. Her voice lingers on. I will never keep her silent.
Okay, Zach?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to read what my comment was the first time. Okay? The first time I read this, because I had read several grief pieces from you before this one. And I said, I have a huge smile on my face after reading this one, Zach. Of all the writes you have penned on grief and sadness from the passing of your mom, this one stands out to me. The connection that was shared through reading together is part of her legacy. This is a very heartwarming piece that touches deeply and moves me as a reader. Well done, my friend. Well done indeed. Congrats on the front page pick too. And this was a very, very good write about the memory, the legacy of your mom, and what she left you with, how she started you down the road of reading and writing. And then, all of a sudden, later in life, 30 years later or so, you write poetry and other things, and you spend your time connecting with other people the same way you connected with your mom. And that keeps her legacy alive. So even though she's mortal and not here, present, her presence is still felt. And it's a way you can stay like you feel like you're connected to her. And it's a beautiful piece, Zach. So I won't add any more to it. But this was and still is my favorite write of the grief you have dealt with from your mother's passing. So go ahead. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, this one's yeah, thank you very much. This one is also my favorite one too, because this one doesn't mention any of the trauma or much of the sadness. It's just it's the memory, and it's one I cherish above all others, really. Because it's It's my earliest, and well, not just because of that, but it's foundational. It's foundational to how I spent a lot of my life in books and writing and growing up and learning how to read and write. That was all sort of drilled into me early. Not drilled, that's a little bit harsh of a word, but it gently inserted into my child's brain, at an early age, and it became my passion. My main passion is what I went to school for. I continue to be compulsive about it, and it does connect me with her whenever I write. It brings me back somehow. Every word leads me back to her in a little bit, so it's in a small way.
Absolutely, for sure, Zach, and it's a way to keep her memory alive within you. And this was a very, very well-written, emotional piece that didn't have anything negative as far as a feeling for me. It felt beautiful and a spiritual connection. I felt like, I don't know if I told you this in person or not. I know I didn't in the comment, but I felt like I knew your mom a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's a good
yeah. For sure.
We're ready to move on?
Yes. Next up, we have Dawn Gonzalez's piece.
I haven't heard from Dawn in a while. It's good to have her back on the show, too. This piece is titled The Text by Dawn Gonzaga. While skulking in my bed, feeling more than one half dead, in the deep of REM provided... In the deep of REM provided where down comforters reside. Rested thoughts of dread I heavily bore, in between the realms where reality underwhelms. I hear a buzzing from the lofty helm, scurrying upon the floor. Lights flickened to mended beams while the buzzing began to increase. A text, it seemed, to be for me, in such woe, I am sure. Unwarranted and unkindly rest had suddenly found me finally. To the rift I drifted blindly, blind to the stains of pain on my plain linen decor. I blankly replied without typing, since surely I'd only be gripping. So enraged, my sorrow tightens and tightened my core. Still no sound was heard abound, except more buzzing to be found. A text from no one special. Of this I am sure. Fall asleep to spy a peep of who I loved before. Tighten my grip onto her. Either realized I could not be there for any longer than a waking roar. A jarring snore turned to grumble. I decided awake was too much trouble. As a rumble emanated from a closed dresser drawer. Wide-eyed, I pounced. Blood boiling, building anger by the ounce. Would you cease this confounded sound, lest my sanity restore? Idlewise, I idolize the meek and mild, to weak and wise, but on this crescent moon, so high, I'm needed, skulking sore. Wrenched that day one's heart did stay, as I stuttered out some calming lore. No longer did I ponder in a grief that continued to bother. The name familiar somber thoughts of my lover adored. Impossible to be it karma, history, or fate. Follow destiny, she did so happily into an early grave. Cross lines and wires hid my desire to believe there was an encore. To sleep perchance, to dream of her together forevermore. A simple plan to execute, but when said aloud, pride will refute, and decide pomp and circumstances, denying myself the gore. Wearily inept, I slumped as I crept towards a fatal jump, numb, as I breached the border crossing the window like a door. In one side and out the other, to reunite us with one another. No longer will I slumber to see who I was living for. Bright-eyed, I smile, ending myself. Imposed exile, she shows me what's worthwhile and what's not anymore. I made the right decision of this, I am sure. End poem. I wish, this is the one exception, Zach, that I would say I wish I would have read this poem first before I cold read it. But that, I'm going to go down and read the author's notes, okay?
Sure.
Modern retelling of The Raven. Makes a little more sense now. It really
I think
does.
so.
It's a modern retelling of The Raven because I felt that on the way through. I thought, it's eerily familiar. Just enough of the familiarity to, after I read that, say, I knew it. The hints were there. If I would have read it 2 or 3 times, I would have got there myself without reading the author's notes. It followed the same mindset is the thing. So go ahead. Your thoughts, Zach. Sorry, I was so excited.
Oh no, it's all good. I like the similarity between like this and the Raven, because at this point, like almost, I feel like the Raven is so recognizable. It could be almost like a form of it itself, with the rhyme scheme and some of the concepts, the subject matter. But I just like how this one really. Well, I mean, at first the speaker is just sleeping, trying to get sleep, and a text wakes her from her slumber. And I can sort of relate to that feeling of just wanting to drift off, and you're really focused on it, intent on getting that rest, and then you hear that annoying buzz. Who could it be? And it seems that this is an ex of or an ex of the speaker, and that just completely, to me, just kills the vibe of the entire night from the speaker's perspective. Just not being able to really focus on sleep after that, just completely just like almost awakened in a sense, but not wanting to be woken up that way. Just unnecessary, like the emotions are high, and I kind of think that the because I can relate with a little bit from the state of restfulness to the state of like being suddenly awoken by just something that annoying. I think that's a little bit funny to me, but that's even though it kind of reads a little like this poem reads pretty serious, that part to me is just a little bit kind of just kind of funny, just because I can relate a little bit. But I still I like the language of the piece, how it imitates the Raven with the rhyme scheme, the or repetition, and by the end of it, I am pretty sure that she is separate from the lover somehow. I'm gonna guess that. I'm not exactly sure if they're exactly like what the state of the relationship is by the end of this text or exchange. But I'm glad that she made the right decision. It seems that the speaker, I'm pretty sure, terminated whatever connection this was, and maybe because the ex was the text was somewhat disconcerting, but I do like sort of just the modern retelling of the Raven through kind of like the advent of like a text dialogue. I think there was kind of a cool way to kind of have like a modern interpretation of an old classic in that respect. I really enjoyed it.
So I'm going to say, I wish I would have read this. It's one of the few that I wish I would have read, because I would have gotten the feel for it, because I was still, as I was reading, I was actually processing. This sounds eerily familiar. There's some similarities to this, and it's not a parody. A parody is a whole different thing. It is writing, and I think anybody that's ever enjoyed the darkness from a poetic point of view has attempted to. Scarlett, you wanting to call, or was that an accident? She went away. I just seen the call button come up. I think she hit it by accident.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's happened. I wanted to be sure. But with this piece that Dawn wrote, and I just added it actually to my recommended because I enjoyed it that much and I want to reread it again for my own pleasure. So it was very well done, and it had that. I love that it to me, it had that familiarity where I was thinking, boy, this sounds kind of like Poe. Mm-hmm. And then whenever I got down to the bottom and I read the author's notes and it confirmed that, I was like, fantastic. But the detail in it is very well done. And it does feel like a modernization without being any kind of a ripoff. It's more of an homage or tribute is kind of how it felt. I just got a message that said from Scarlett that said on All Poetry, ignore that, I accidentally called.
Yeah. Happens.
It happens. It does, Zach. But back to Dawn's poem, I really, really enjoyed the way it was written. And I'm glad by sheer accident it was put at the end of the list there to where we could go over it and have that discussion. At the end of our show here. Let's see. Do we have anything else? We don't have it. That was the last of our poems, wasn't it, Zach?
Yeah, that was number 12.
Yep, and that's what I thought. We got through that in just about an hour and a half. Make a mental note of that.
Yeah, we got like 131, approximately 132. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think about 12 pieces because some of those were a little long too. Yeah. A little longer pieces. I think about 12 pieces is what we can do in an hour and a half if we really concentrate with just the two of us.
Yeah, and we weren't like nobody was rambling, so that's that we were on point, I think.
Again, we're going to have this issue with Podbean where they are changing us to a recorded instead of live. And there may be some benefits to it because I've discovered a couple of things that I appreciated that I couldn't quite make happen tonight, but we're going
bells and whistles.
Yes, the bells and whistles, literally. But we're going to check that stuff out. Zach and I will try to get it worked out and figured out to where we can do that. And I have something else that I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. Now I got to find the topic board for, there it is, the contest board. Currently right now we have 3 contests that are up. This one's brought to you by Merv, and it is poems to songs. And Merv is offering to take poems that are submitted to this contest he's running, and that will he'll convert them on Suno to songs for you if you'd like to have it done and you don't do that yourself. So that's kind of a fun thing. Zach's running a contest right now, our own Harmo, Zach. Want to make sure I got to call you Harmo sometimes on here. That way everybody gets that parallel because I don't want to. We're on a first name basis, Zach, but you're not that way with everybody necessarily. You don't know everybody as well as you know me, so I'll make sure and use your screen name, pen name from time to time. But he's got a very good mental health poetry contest. Do you care to talk about that any at all, Zach? And
yeah. It's detailed about like anyone who has any kind of mental health diagnosis, or they know somebody that works in a sort of place that sort of deals with folks with those sort of ailments and diagnoses. I just it's just about that sort of thing, and sort of a non-fictional account of it's almost confessional, I would say. A series of confessional rites that I'm expecting. But yeah, it's currently open. 25 spots, and I'm gonna run it as long as I can.
Okay, good. And it's good to see. It's good to see stuff like that come out there, because people need to be educated to where mental health isn't so taboo.
Yeah, that's part of why I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I know your career choice, where you're headed with your work and stuff like that, and the training you've been through, and the stuff you're doing currently. That is all good. And it's funny, Zach. Sometimes the best people to do things have experienced those things,
right?
And you help teach people and show them the way of stuff that they may not know that's out there for them. It goes that way, AA and stuff like that. There's a reason why AA works, and Narcotics Anonymous and things like that. It's all support groups, and in essence, the best experience are the experienced ones. So, with what you've dealt with and openly written about, that it would be helpful to other people to write about it as well. So kudos to you for running that contest, Zach. And then there's another one on there from our own Deborah Leo 5 on our contest board. And it's titled Hold Tight, Travel Light. And it's got a little hedgehog on a dandelion. That's all I'm saying. It's got a hedgehog and a dandelion, and it looked so fun to me. I giggled, and I wrote something about it and contributed to that one. And I'm going to attempt to see if I can figure out something to write for yours, because I did take a look at it, and I just didn't know what direction to go. It hasn't struck me yet. When it does, I'll write for it, Zach. Okay.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
Same thing with Mervs. Sometimes I have to be prompted to write.
Right. Of course. It's just, that's how inspiration works.
Yes. You get your mindset and you go that way. And that's why, the one for Debs was so easy to write, because it's a cute little hedgehog on a dandelion. And I was like, oh,
I saw it. I did see that.
Yes. It's cute as a button, isn't it, Zach?
Yep.
It makes, I feel like the hedgehog was in flight and his trip might never end.
Let's gotta end sometime.
Yeah. Well, at least it got started this time, Zach.
Yeah. Got off the ground.
Yeah, I was really worried about that. So the more things change, the more they stay the same, apparently.
That's right. I guess.
What's happening there that's delightful. I'm just back to the old control board, and I can do what I want to do, and I'm familiar and comfortable, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, we just smooth sail out the rest of this one,
Right.
Relax.
I feel like we're, on our unlimited time here, so we may have to figure it out.
Yeah, because we are like 8 minutes past a minute or an hour and a half, so.
Yeah, but that was messing around.
That's true.
We could have got through it if we wanted, Zach.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But, I felt like the public service announcement for all the contests that we have put on our contest board is something, maybe as long as that's active, the contest board will keep doing that. That way we get some advertisement out there for everybody in the group. So that's it for this time around, and hopefully we'll just do it in a recording next week. I'll get this published here as soon as they let me have it.
Good to be back, Bill. All right, Bill. Yeah, good to see you. See you next week.
Have a great week.